Hey everyone, I hope you're having a good weekend. I'm going to go over what's coming up in week 3 this week, and I have looked over your research topic / guiding questions, and it looks like you all have great ideas to get started with. And you can see that this week is mainly devoted to your research logs and responding to your group members' research logs as well. So this is a fairly research intensive week where you are focusing on finding sources that respond in some way to that question you posed for choose a research topic, that open-ended question. If you haven't done that already, please make sure that you do that before starting the research log 1 this week. So for what I'm going to do in this video is I will walk you through research log 1. I will show you a kind of skeleton example that I put together of what your research log will look like with the different headings. And then I'll talk about the rest of the research logs more generally for the rest of the week. So for research log 1, you're going to find 2 sources. And for each research log, you are going to look in this yellow box, and it will tell you where to look for your sources. So one thing that we focus on in WORDS 1103 is this idea of connected research, of using sources to find more sources, and not just doing necessarily a very broad general search, but we are starting with a text that we have already read and using it to find connected sources. So you're going to look in the notes section of Co-Intelligence. So this is in the very back of the book. You'll see that each chapter is broken down by the different notes. You can think of this as almost like a works cited or a references section. So the notes are sources that Ethan Mollick would have referred to or referenced in some way in those chapters. So you're going to look for 2 sources that address your topic in some way. They do not need to directly address your topic. If you as the editor feel that they are providing some kind of perspective on your topic that you think is helpful, then that's probably a good source. So they may not directly address your topic, and that is normal. So you're thinking of these sources as not having to say everything about your source, but more as puzzle pieces that you are putting together as the editor. Okay, so thinking about how you might approach your topic from different angles, and this will help you find a more variety of sources as well that aren't all saying the same thing. So you should have already done the setting up your research log activity last Friday. You'll need to do that to set that up correctly if you haven't already. Your research log is going to be one running Google Doc. So you're not going to create a new document for each research log. You're just going to be adding on to it. Okay, and under a heading that says overview, you want to include your main guiding question. So that's the question that you posed for that choose a research topic activity. So I'm very specific about the headings that you are using. It may seem picky, but I can promise you it helps you get the document organized and keeps it organized as we continue to add more and more sources. And it makes a hierarchy of information clear, and you'll see that as you go on. So I have labeled them in colors. I don't want you to do the colors. I just did this to kind of highlight the different headings in the directions, but you should not add these colors to your own document. You just follow the formatting instructions. So you'll see you need a heading 1 that says research log 1, and then a heading 2 that's going to share a shortened version, or if you have a short title already, the title of the first source that you found. So we're focusing on the first source here. So then you'll need the bibliographic citation. You can choose whatever style you like, and a hyperlink to the source in some way. So you could have the hyperlink be in the, you could hyperlink this part, the heading 2. You could have a hyperlink of the titles within the bibliographic citation. Generally, it is recommended that that either the title here or the title here is hyperlinked, as readers online come to expect that titles be hyperlinked generally. Then you're going to have a heading 3 that says summary. You're going to follow those, the summarizing, introduction to summarizing. And then a heading 3 that says key terms, and you're going to list and add a definition in your own words of those key terms. So this is really a few, you know. Generally students are finding 1 to 3 key terms per source. And then a heading 3 that is the CRAP test. So you just need to rank it numerically according to that CRAP test, and we did an introduction to that on Friday. So you do not need to offer explanations. You are just adding up your CRAP test and looking at the strengths and weaknesses of each source. Then you need a heading 2 for the second title. So whatever the second title is, you can abbreviate it if it's too long. And you're doing the exact same thing here. And you'll add a CRAP test as well. And the summary, key terms, and CRAP tests. I'm realizing I need to add the CRAP test there, which I will. And then a heading 2 that says editor's commentary. So for this editor's commentary, you are commenting on both sources at once. You don't need to add you know, separate editor's commentaries for each. You're addressing both of them here. And then when you're all done, you'll go up and refresh your table of contents, and you will see all these different headings appear. So what yours will look like will be like this. So I have added all these sections here. I don't have actual sources here, but you would switch out title of first source for the actual title. So you can see just how a outline of how this would look, okay? And then you will refresh that table of contents, and this is important. So you are going to submit the link from the table of contents. So this is a really helpful thing to know how to do in Google Docs, is to send a reader exactly where you want them to go in your document. So if you click on Research Log 1 in your table of contents and hit copy link, you will then in your submission just copy and paste that and submit the assignment. You don't need to share it with me since I've created that folder, so I already have access to the folder, so you would submit it that way. Okay. All right, so let me go back to the rest of the week. And you will see that for Tuesday I have an introduction to the Atkins Library website. There's nothing you need to turn in, but this was created in co-created to help you with your research by our subject librarian Alexis Murrell. So she has worked really closely with my previous classes for the past couple of years. So she created those slides specifically for what you're doing in this class. And then you're also going to do a peer response to the Research Log 1 for the people in your group. So you should have received a email alerting you that you have access to your group folder, which is where you will need to start Research Log 1, start that document. And if you forget who's in your group, you should see their documents in your folder, and you'll see them listed here, okay? But your group members should have their research logs in your folder, so you should be able to see it there, okay? And if it's not there, there's nothing for you to review, okay? And then Research Log 2, you're finding one source for Research Log 2. So you're going to use the UNC Charlotte Atkins Library to try to find a full-text in-depth source. Right. And then looking at the, oops, let me go down here, rest of the week, you'll see a pattern here. So now that you've turned in Research Log 2, on Wednesday you'll do peer response and get some response from your groups to Research Log 2. Research Log 3, you are finding two sources. The first source, you're looking for a TED Talk that informs your research, on the topic. Again, it does not have to directly address your topic right on the nose, doesn't have to hit it right on the nose. I have linked to the topics page to try to help you find your source that way. So you might just, everybody has a topic related to AI. I would scroll down. You could look at the playlist, but I think it is more helpful to just go to see all talks on AI and scroll through it that way. So you'll find one that way. And then you're also going to find one source via the Atlantic, via the Atkins Library. Okay. Another option for that second source would be to find and listen to one of the Atlantic's podcasts. And so you can do either that or that. In Research Log 4, you are finding one source using Google Scholar. And then on Friday, we get a little break from the research logs, and we're going to be looking ahead to what we'll be doing next week. So this Introduction to Composing Processes will help with that. And then the Organizing Sources for the Reader's Guide is to help you identify any gaps in your research that you will then seek to fill in the final research log next week. All right, so focus is really intensely on your research this week because our course is so condensed. We are getting all our research done in a week and 1 day, and then we will start putting together the Reader's Guide next week. So please let me know if you have any questions as you are doing your work this week, and keep up the good work, everybody.